We're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tell the Truth. What episode is this? Episode 5. There we
Yeah.
go. Got to make sure you're getting in there. Look, we're back. I'm on the road, so we're doing this a little bit, it was a little bit on the fly, but I appreciate everybody for coming in. Got my man DG. My man CJ. I'm D Mac. Y'all know what it is. Look, man, a second straight divisional win in the Arrowhead. A game in which we saw the offense get right a little bit. Certainly saw the defense continue its excellent play in the second half after getting off to a little bit of a slow start. Always good to get a win over a rival and essentially put the division to bed, which we'll talk about a little bit. How y'all doing tonight, DG and CJ? How y'all doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Go ahead, CJ.
Another victorious week. Another one in the books. A little streak going on, fellas. We got to keep it going now, huh?
All by
Back-
ourselves
back
at the top
and
of
win.
the AFC. Yes.
Best thing
Back
about
and
being
dub.
you
Only
dig?
team with one loss in the AFC, man.
Feels good. It definitely feels good.
Beautiful thing to see. So obviously we're a few days removed from the game on Sunday. From you guys' perspective, any overall takeaways that stood out and have stood out now a few days removed from it, DG and CJ?
For me, I think this is probably the most complete game they've played in a while, especially during this season. Offense and defense. Offense was humming and clicking early on, so that was good to see early on that they came out with some intensity, some urgency. Uh, Defense kind of came out a little flat, I feel like, first half, but then second half was able to come out, make some adjustments, and virtually shut the Chargers down completely. So it was good to see them play a complete game and be able to walk out with a dub, especially over a division opponent. It's always good to beat the LA Wall pieces.
Yeah. Definitely, probably the O-line was probably the one for me. Coming into the game, that was definitely a concerning point, given the fact that we know JT's had his struggles at times, and some of it was due to, unfair refereeing at times. But to come into a matchup with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, who have, from Khalil Mack's perspective, been playing some really good ball, and to come into this game and essentially take them out of the game completely, they really didn't have too much of an impact, especially during the second half when Pat had plenty of time to make plays inside and outside the pocket. That was definitely good to see, because we know that was definitely one of the question marks of this offense for sure. So good to see Don and JT play a clean game for sure.
No, absolutely. And I think that may be the biggest one. It's just the offensive line was spectacular all day long. No doubt about it. I thought they did a great job. And look, obviously this isn't necessarily fully healthy. Some of the earlier season Joey Bosa's that we saw, this is a little bit of an older Khalil Mack. Tui is still a rookie for them, but all three of those guys have been rushing off the edge well, and those tackles equipped themselves very well for us, making sure to keep Mahomes very clean as far as this offense was concerned. And we saw the fruits of that labor in the first half when they really took advantage of what the Chargers defense was doing. But yeah, let's jump in. Obviously, there was unfortunately a little bit. That's our Tell the Truth logo. We got a few iterations of it, Pacey. Don't worry about that. Yeah. So the defense, obviously, second half, after a tough first half in which the Chargers went up tempo, were really able to kind of attack us in a multitude of different ways, completely shut out Chargers. And look, we've always gone through these games versus Chargers. There have been close games, usually shootouts, but to hold them under 20 points because of a shutout in the second half is really a testament to what this defense is doing. Unfortunately, did not come without a little bit of a big injury. Unfortunately, Nick Bolton, we learned, is a dislocated wrist, probably going to be up to 2-month injury. We're expecting sometime into December, possibly the new year. We'll see what ends up happening for him. Hopefully, we can get him back for the next time that we play the Chargers in LA, I believe, for our season finale, if I remember that correctly. So,
Yeah.
we'll see. So ultimately, obviously, I think we all agree we're going to be cautious about this. Make sure that man is fully back, healthy, ready to roll for the playoffs. Don't want to put him in any other harm's way. And I think ultimately what we all agree on also, Drew Tranquil has equipped himself very well in the Mike linebacker spot. So, obviously, Drew, stepping into that Mike linebacker spot, from you guys' perspective, who do you think needs to step up more now without Nick Bolton? Obviously, the depth being tested. Willie Gay, Leo Chanel. Willie Gay already playing a high percentage of the snaps. We've seen his impact. He made a lot of impact plays on Sunday. Leo Chanel, a little bit more of a limited role, but still being able to, be a little bit creative, coming off the edge, being able to disrupt some things in the run game, getting better as far as pass coverage is concerned. Who do you guys want to see step up more, Willie Gay or Leo Chanel? You can go ahead, DG.
For me, I think it's Leo. Um, this is a big spot for him. Especially to kind of show us where his development is. I think this is his second year in the league, so this is kind of a chance and shot for him to prove to us that maybe letting Willie walk Nick in free agency is really worth it, and go out there and make some impact plays. I think he can kind of step in and do some of the similar things that Nick kind of does, especially with the run game. So hopefully he can step in and show us what he really has. But I really believe in Leo Chanel. I think he's very capable. But this is all to show your development. So go out there and prove it, man.
No, yeah, for sure. It's kind of like a game by game basis for me. This week is a big, a big Leo Chanel week. We know Denver's a team that wants to get downhill. They want to run the football. Obviously, they're not in a position to really let Russell Wilson cook per se in this time of the year and trying to let him throw all the ball all over the field. So I know they're in like a kind of weary position because they could be selling and trading players at the trade deadline. So it's kind of a weary spot. Do they let guys get plenty of snaps? But I think they'll do their best to obviously try to keep it respectable and stay in the game and try to run the football. So this could be a big week where Leo Chenal can make his imprint, like DG said. But I think the following week, not to look ahead too much, I'm sure we'll get into it, but the Miami Dolphins week is a big Drew Tranquil week. We know they love to pass the ball. They want to get the ball downfield, push the ball, be aggressive toward the middle in between the hashes. And Drew Tranquil is going to be on his P's and Q's the entire week. Definitely got to get the calls in as quick as possible, like he's been doing pretty well, and try to get everybody lined up because Mike McDaniel likes to go tempo and get guys confused in the middle of the field. So next 2 weeks are definitely big for those two guys. Obviously Willie because he's the leader, been here the longest, but definitely next week is like a big Drew Tranquil week and Willie week, and then this week I would say Leo Chenal for sure, and then we have the bye after those two for sure.
Yeah, look, I think that you hit the nail on the head. It's different or different challenges presented that are going to be coming from us or at us from the next 2 weeks. And certainly the Broncos have leaned a little bit more into the run, whether it's for Javante Williams or Jalen McGoffin. Obviously, some RJ Perriman's having a significantly down year from a guy that they brought in and wanted to have an impact from. So ultimately, they're going to have to, honestly, both of them are going to have to step up. But Leo Chanel is going to get a higher percentage of the snaps now, and he has to take advantage of that role, especially as we go into an aspect of it. Nick Bolton, is going to be wondering about possibly getting a contract extension at the end of the year. Willie Gay and Drew Tranquil are pending free agents. If Leo can show in this space and time, the same way that Drew Tranquil stepped into the Mike linebacker spot and really was able to take advantage, if Leo can step up and really show that he is worthy of having one of the top three spots and really be an impact player next year, this is the space and time in which he has to show that growth. And so if he can, then great. If not, then we'll take the contributions as they come. I have no problem with Willie Gay's level of play. We saw that juice really show up in the sack and the batted down passes. I expect that to continue to happen. And look, as you talk about the Broncos, I mean, the report came out today. They're listening on Jerry Judy. They're listening on Sutton. They're listening on Garrett Bowles, Josie Jewell, Justice Simmons, and even Sertain possibly over the next week. So
Everybody.
similar to the ways in which we obviously put the nail in the coffin of the AFC West for all intents and purposes because of the lead that we built at this point in the season. You can put the nail in the coffin in a lot of the Broncos' future plans if you're able to, embarrass them here in Denver and kind of facilitate that trade as far as that's concerned. Other highlight, as far as the defense is concerned, we saw obviously continued good secondary play. We obviously saw a continued good defensive line play. I'll have a little bit of something coming for you guys either Saturday morning or late Friday night. We'll see how things go on stay scheming as well. But the highlight, getting Charles Omenihu back, his first game, immediate impact, deflection for an interception to L'Jarius Sneed, was able to get himself a sack, consistent pressure throughout the day. You saw the quick wins, and that really brings a different dynamic to this pass rush. CJ, what were your initial thoughts of Charles Omenihu's welcome to the Chiefs' kingdom on Sunday.
Like you just said, immediate pressure. As soon as he stepped on the field from the very first snap to the last, he's just a guy that what we all expected, a guy that can win, not only win on one-on-ones, he won his double teams. And one of the things we talked about all summer, I was interested to see how are these O-lines going to play whenever him and Chris are on the same side of the field. And for the very first snap they did, they actually double teamed Charles Omenihu, which I think is freaking crazy. You leave arguably Defensive Player of the Year candidate one-on-one with your right tackle. I thought that's mind-blowing to me. So if that's how teams are going to line up and Chris Jones gets one-on-ones, I guess we're going to be happy the rest of the year, fellas. So it's going to be a fun year with calling Spags, calling out his defenses. But to see guys like running the TE stunts and Charles playing off edge and playing inside with his three techniques and just using his hands, winning with speed, and obviously, like to D-Max said, getting tip balls. He was just all over the field. And to DG's point last week, we were saying we don't want to see him be on the snap count. I think Spags kind of hurt us a little bit because he wasn't taking him out like every other drive like he was doing Chris the first week back. So that was kind of glad to see that he was letting him off the chains a little bit. But definitely Charles' impact was felt from the first snap all the way to the last. You can tell he's been waiting to get back for it. And I'm excited to see what this group can do the rest of the year. A lot of us were saying he could be a double-digit sack guy, even with missing the first 6 games. And he already got 1 1/4 down, so he has a while to go, but a lot to look forward to for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. DG, what were your thoughts of Charles playing his first game?
Man, y'all know what Coach Prime is doing up in Colorado right now with the L and the D on the jerseys. I mean, he was a dog, bro.
Yeah,
he's a dog. I think you legitimately got a dog on this defensive line that can just go after it and get it. And seeing him and Chris line up on the same side, I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. It brought so much joy to my heart because knowing what they can be able to do and what they can be able to scheme up with the both of them, watching him get double teamed was crazy to see.
That's wild.
But and leaving Chris Jones, so it just helps your defensive line so much because it allows for these guys to really get their one-on-ones. Like I said, I think it's going to elevate everybody's game from George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, Charles Omenihu to Chris Jones, or whatever. I think it just alleviates so many problems that they don't have to worry about now because you have another guy that on third down or whatever, and when you need it, those money downs can go and get it. And it's just incredible to see. So I'm excited to see where this goes. For him to come back and already have a sack in his first game, my goal for him was hopefully he can have like 5 by the end of the year, with missing time or whatever. But he seems to be on a very much a different mission. He could probably end up with double-digit sacks if he keeps going at the pace that he's going. So glad Omenihu is here. Glad he's back. Was hella excited during the offseason when we signed him. And you can see he want that bag, man. So go get it, dog. Go get it for sure. You got a dog on this defensive line. So ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you saw him come back. You saw the ability to just increase the pass rush and really that layered pass rush that I talked about on Monday. Being able to have him winning quickly, Chris Jones winning quickly, Karlaftis running the ways that he does with hustle and really late in the rep as well with his power, Mike Dana and his ability to convert his speed to power, especially where it's inside or outside, and then Felix being able to run the arc, man. All of those things combining and really playing in for a dangerous pass rush that's coming together. And I'll talk a little bit more about some specific plays that really caught my eye. And I got a special logo for you guys as well. Shout out to Minutes Levels for that. So Noni asked an interesting question. Obviously, is Frank Clark still coming back? Answer is no for now. He is filling in Seattle. He did sign to their active roster. They lost their best pass rusher, Nuoso, or second best this year, but Nuoso is really more of the vet. He's been playing at a high level for a while now. Unfortunately, he went down to a pec injury. And so Frank Clark is going into his old stomping grounds up in Seattle and taking over that role. And look, I understand it. It was going to be tough to get him on this roster. Obviously, as we've seen, we had to say goodbye to Keandre Coburn just to get Charles Omenihu on this roster. And so that active roster spot probably doesn't going to be open. And it sounded like, according to Nate Taylor, shout out to Nate, came on Kingdom Cast, he kind of was talking about it on their podcast on Only Real Games, would say there were probably going to be a little bit of wait and see approach from him and Frank up until the deadline. And obviously Frank had a good opportunity come along and obviously he was able to jump on it. You can't blame that man for that at all. Shout out to him for being able to do that. Shout out to Frank for getting on the roster. Hope he can help Seattle out for sure, man. But ultimately, this defensive line rotation looks really good, and this defense looks exceptional. And again, we'll talk about it a little bit, but combining the ability to get home with 4 or 3 at times, which you kind of saw a little bit late in the game, and Willie Gay knocking that pass down because the pass rush was getting to him. Justin Herbert had to get the ball out. And then also having Spags bitch packages available to you when you want them to. It's a dangerous combination that's happening on the defensive side of the ball in Kansas City right now. So let's flip all over to the offense. Obviously, everybody's favorite topic, the wide receiver room. We saw a bit of a breakout game. We've been seeing the specific snap count for Rashee Rice continue to increase week after week, and he's really been able to show up. Shout out to Shaggy, man.
What up, Shaggy?
What up, Shaggy?
Shaggy knows one when he sees one. He's been watching this for a long time.
Supporting out here.
Just make sure you put number 1, Shag.
It's good.
So Rashee Rice continue to get more snap count, be able to work in those zones effectively, and that's what Chargers were playing. And he was able to play off the Chargers extremely well because the Chargers defense didn't adjust in the ways they did, and they were having some issues, obviously, on the sideline with Brandon Staley. And they didn't like what they were doing out there. Travis Kelce obviously got off in the first half, but we saw Rashee Rice's continue his explosive play, continue to go after the ball effectively. Even saw him run over a Charger late in the game, which is a lot of fun to watch. I mean, got to ask the question, man. Is Rashee Rice wide receiver 1, simply put?
I think the trend is starting to be trending in the right direction. You got to put him at number 1. He's the one getting most of the targets. Y'all know my slogan. If you in the slot, you get the money. So Travis on one side dictating coverage, and Rashee Rice taking advantage of all his opportunities, even on the touchdown. And I showed the clip on my timeline. I'll post it to the show after we get done. But when Rashee Rice is in motion in the slot, and anybody that's usually on the short side on the hash is usually the guy they're trying to get the ball to. And Trav was not in on this play, and they put Rashee Rice in motion to run that option route. And he ran almost like a little sluggo corner type of route to get into the back corner. And it was even more so funny because he was the only receiver in motion, which is dictating the coverage, D-Mac. But when he got into position before he ran the route on the snap, they literally let him run past the safety, and nobody touched him. Like, they didn't even try to jam him, get his hands on him to do nothing at all. So for him to have his 4th touchdown, I believe that's year, that was his 3rd. Is that his 4th?
3rd, but it should have been 5th because we got tackled at the first 1 yard.
Yeah, one got tackled on the goal line. Yeah, 3rd.
Yeah,
for him to have this many touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think all of them have been like wide open in the back of the end zone. Like, I swear, like every time he catches a touchdown, he's just sitting there in the back end of the line and nobody's covering him. So I don't know how long this trend is going to last. Eventually, they're going to get 4 eyes on him if they start reading at the depth chart and reading the film study for him. So, but overall, no, Rasheed's playing good football. He's getting better every week. Nothing you can complain about what he's doing so far. The next evolution we've all been asking for is him to get more outside the reps numbers as far as his snap count. But so far, so good for Rasheed, man. He's looking like the one for sure. Beach got one so far, DG.
And the thing about it is, I'm going to let DG answer here in a second, but you talk about him being open in the back of the end zone. He had the quote post game where he's like, yeah, I just ran to where the defense wasn't. And look, Travis Kelce been doing that forever with Mahomes, and Mahomes has been able to find him. If you're able to develop that skill, and we've seen him be able to come in with really that innate skill for finding those holes in the zone, that's something that can really earn that trust with Patrick Mahomes if you do it on it because it's bases and catch the ball, which we haven't ever dropped from Rashee Rice. Knock on wood. Yes, knock on wood. And shout out to Rashee Rice for being able to develop. But DG, yes, do you believe that Rashee Rice is wide receiver 1? And what have you seen from him over the past few weeks?
Yeah, you can. I definitely believe it. You can definitely tell the chemistry between him and Pat is growing with each week. You can kind of see that they're starting to get on the same page. And for me, it comes down to a point where you watch certain players, and especially rookies, and you see the game kind of slow down for them, in a sense. But I really think for that sense, like Rashee is really growing up in front of our eyes in a short amount of time, and it's kind of crazy to watch because you don't expect rookie receivers to come in and make that kind of a huge of an impact in Andy's offense because there's so much to learn and it's so complex. But they're obviously giving him forced touches now. Like they're game planning for him, which is crazy because You normally just don't see that in a rookie receiver in this offense. But man, it kind of reminds me of when Tyreek came in his rookie year or whatever, and they were slowly bringing him along like with special teams, and then as his role kind of grew, you kind of start to see that like they were giving him a lot more to do, a lot more forced touches. So definitely proud of what he's been able to do, and happy for his development. Hopefully, he can continue to keep growing or whatever. And I think he's the next guy. When Travis probably gone and retired, Rasheed's probably gonna be your number one go to guy. So proud of that too.
Eventually, you got to break that rookie curse, bro. Somebody got to do it. Why not Rasheed?
I think he is breaking it. Certainly, hopefully he can stay healthy enough to do so. I think Rasheed is even well for me personally because I always expected Tony to be a limited snap player, but Rasheed Rice is far beyond it at this current moment in time because he really has that level of trust with Mahomes, where Mahomes is looking for him. He's getting these design plays schemed up for him for a reason because he's been effective in that role. And ultimately, though, he's taken a few people's jobs at this current moment in time. You see where his snap counts have gone over the past few weeks, and it's impressive. So obviously, last week here on Sunday, we saw that Rasheed Rice was right around 59% of the snaps with 40 snaps. Sky Moore got 41. Marcus Valdes-Scantling got 47. So those were the easy top three. Justin Ross checked in with 17 himself. Justin Ross obviously having some other issues, but apparently he's practicing, and so right now they're gathering facts as far as that's concerned. So we'll leave that where it is for now. Just gonna put that PSA out there. Kadarius Toney also had himself 13, and Mecole Hardman had 11 as the new reacquisition back to Kansas City, and still had a big impact. Huge third down conversion for Mecole, and obviously the punt return, which is massive as well. So ultimately, where you guys feel, because look, we talked about the offensive line being excellent. We know Isaiah Pacheco's running the ball well. We know that Jared McKinnon brings his value to the table as a backup running back. We know Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, point blank, period. We know that you obviously can improve possibly in the third tight end or third running back aspect of it. But do you feel like this wide receiver room still needs another acquisition? Do you think we should go out there and trade for another wide receiver? And you guys are spending DG. You can start us off.
Yeah, yes, well, maybe.
Kinda.
Like it wouldn't. Yeah, you kind of already did, but it wouldn't surprise me if you tried to go and make another move if it makes sense at this point in time, especially with what kind of draft capital you got and you're working with, especially in your salary cap too. Possibly, that's all I can say right now. Like I wouldn't expect it. I'm not gonna get my hopes up or anything. There is a guy in Tennessee that I wouldn't mind having at this point in time, but it is what it is. If you don't get him or whatever, the price is too high. I understand it. I think you're good with what you have right now, especially letting these young guys develop and kind of letting their roles get settled. So maybe you don't do it just to not kind of shake up that room or whatever, and letting Pat and those receivers get their chemistry down or whatever. But if you wanted to, you could try to call Tennessee, see what the price is, But if you don't, I'm good with that too. So.
Nah, I mean, overall, the group I think right now is good enough for what we have. The Mecole acquisition is probably the one move we would make before the deadline. Obviously, you're bringing in a guy who knows the offense. You don't have to train or scheme up anything for him. He kind of knows what to do as far as a transition piece, like a reacquisition, like D-Mac said. So now going forward, we know we have MVS as our X. Whenever Justin Watson comes back, he's our other X as well. Rasheed Rice has been doing very well in the slot. And then we obviously know Mecole and Sky have been our Z receivers at this point in time. And obviously in this receiver room, I think Andy and Nagy really make it an endorsement. You have to know every position in this receiving core to be able to play. If you don't know multiple spots, it's going to be hard for them to trust you, especially because we all remember the AFC Championship game last year when three of our receivers went down and MVS and Sky had to play a lot of snaps in that game. So we were using guys like Marcus Kemp off the practice squad. to come up and make big catches for us. So if you don't know more than one spot or two spots in this offense, it's going to be hard for them to trust you. So I think the four they have right now is good enough to hold the fort down until obviously we get guys like Richie James, who we're waiting for an update on him. And I heard Justin Watson was at practice today as well. So he's trying to fight his way to get back on the field. But I think this group right now is good enough for what we have. Our tight end group is still producing at a high level. Travis Kelce had a career day, and we're not even talking about it. He had almost 200 yards, and it seems like that's like the fifth thing we're talking about from this game. So I think the receiver group is getting better every week, as if like most of us expected. A lot of people didn't have the patience, but it's a long season, 17 games. We've only finished 7 of them. We still have a bye week to figure out more things as well. So hopefully we'll see what this Justin Ross situation is going forward. But right now, I think we have the talent and the ability to do whatever we want to do on offense. Now we just got to stay healthy and just make it to December and January for sure.
Yeah, I think I feel the same along those lines. Is that yes, it would be nice to make a difference making trade as far as for a wide receiver that can really play against man coverage at a high level. But at this current moment in time, I don't think that avenue exists. So don't make a move just to make the move. Obviously, Justin Watson, you expect to come back now. We'll see. Rasheed Rice, some kind of is a non-factor for now, but obviously we'll see if he or not Rasheed Rice, Richie James. My bad. We'll see if he can come off the IR with his MCL issue. Ultimately, though, I think that this wide receiver room is good enough for this team to compete at a high level because of how well the defense is, because of how Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes still playing at a high level, because of the offensive line, because of the running game, et cetera, et cetera. They just need a little bit more time to grow into that role, certainly at this current moment in time. But I will say, I am it would be nice, but I'm not expecting anything along those lines to happen, to say the least. So yeah, that's kind of the recap. Hey man, look, and I said, if the Commanders want to sell, you better be calling for Terry McLaurin, man. Go ahead and make that.
Yeah, I ain't about to entertain Jesus Christ.
Make that call. That's a different. That's me dreaming. That's me dreaming because I love Terry McLaurin. Shout out to Terry.
You said a third?
Scary Terry, boy.
Oh man, I would love it. But yeah, so that's the reality situation right now. Obviously, played well on Sunday. I think you said DG at the top. Most complete game given quality of opponent. And look, the Chargers obviously right now don't have a good record. They had a tough record, or I should say, schedule to start out. I think they're a better team than their record. Not that much better of a team than their record, but certainly better than the Bears. And I think so. I agree with you on the complete game to this point. So let's look ahead a little bit. Obviously, coming up on Sunday, we are going to Denver. There is some snow in the forecast. We'll see if it's a little bit more of a run game. But we also know that Mahomes likes to sling the ball in anything. He's a all-weather type of guy. He's a snow game type of guy, as we all know. So we'll end up seeing what happening. So from you guys' perspective, obviously the Denver Broncos are on the ropes. Quarterback overpaid. Offensive line in shambles. People on the chopping block. Running back trying to work his way back from issues. Defense in disarray. How do you guys feel about this game coming up? What do you need to see on Sunday to continue to feel like the Chiefs should be the Super Bowl favorite, CJ and DG?
I want to see us start fast, obviously, because usually this game is like the last Thursday. Now we kind of started off kind of slow. To DG's point, on 2 episodes ago, we felt like we kind of, I never want to say nobody doesn't care, but we didn't take it as serious. When you're running that many trick plays, we fake the field goal. We let Kadarius Toney run two wide receiver passes in that game, DG. So overall, it's like I can kind of feel like the offense wasn't really pressured to get into their bag that week. And obviously, there was no need to really show any of your go-to money plays on third down, certain formations you want to hold off until December, because it's a team you can go out there and play a C-plus game, just do barely enough to get by and get out of there with a win. So I feel like this week can be a similar thing, but I don't want to look ahead too much, like D-Mac said, because we do have the Dolphins coming up. So I want to keep practicing our good habits. I want to see us keep being aggressive on first down, keep establishing our run game, which has been great for us, keep playing good ball on defense and getting turnovers. But I just want to see us start fast because, to D-Mac's point, this team is in a fire sale mode. Their season is essentially over. They're not winning the division. They have no chance of obviously making anything of a playoff at this, not mathematically, but from a trending standpoint. They're probably going to be a top 10, top 5 pick in the NFL draft. So if you can go out there and get on them early, get a 7-0 lead, get a 14-0 lead, put your head and foot on the neck early, it can kind of essentially end the game and kind of put a damper on their season. So I just want to see us start fast. Maybe that's a turnover, fellas, like scoop and score, pick 6, type thing, get an early touchdown, kind of take their spirit out of the game, get them out of there early and get their head out of it. Because once you do those things, it's kind of hard. Once you're a bad football team, you're already thinking about the offseason. But when you start getting beat early, it's kind of hard to keep your head in it when you already see the scoreboard and you're down 2 possessions. So I just want to see us start fast and get a lead, and then I think the rest of the game will handle itself for sure.
Yeah, what about you, PG?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Start fast, but at the same time, finish strong. We've seen this team go up to Denver last year, start off fast,
No Patron.
kind of right, and then kind of fell asleep at the wheel and got a little bit drunk on the sideline, and let the the donkeys creep back in and make it a game. For me, man, just it's like I always say, go make a bad team look bad, man. This is one of those games where you're the better team, you have better talent. Go make them look bad. Go execute, take care of your business, do what you got to do. Don't play with your food. Same thing you did to the Chargers last week when they came into your home or whatever. Went out there, took care of business. Although, like I said, sometimes it doesn't start off the way you want it to, with the offense starting off really fast and defense kind of having to work their way into the game. But both sides of the ball, just come out fast, play fast, rally to the tackle. Obviously, like you said, it may be some weather involved, so tackling is gonna be of importance in this game. But yeah, just go out there and execute and show the world who you are. You're a contender for a reason. Go out there and prove it and beat a bad team. Keep them bad. So that's all.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. And look, even though the Thursday night football game, short week, was not as dominant as you would like you guys said. I mean, it was a completely unserious performance in certain situations, play call to say the least. And ultimately, you still won by double digits. How much can you really complain? The truth of the matter is, you should go on the road. You should dominate this team. You should get off to a fast start. The defense can be taken advantage of. The offense certainly is not anything special, especially compared to what the defense brings to the table for Kansas City. So get out to that fast start, control the game. Don't make it stressful, because it really should not be under any circumstances. But yeah, I think that's a general overview for week 8.
Don't put KT at quarterback.
Under no circumstances, please, man. Let's get some Jarrett Stidham stats for this week, man. That's my goal. Let's get some Jarrett Stidham for the Broncos snaps. That'd be nice to see.
Yeah.
We've been needing a pick 6, so this is the perfect week to get one. So
yeah, man, it absolutely would be. That'd be great to see.
No better time than the present, huh?
That'd be an understatement. So yeah, that general thoughts obviously on week 8. So we'll get into the power rankings here. Obviously, one loss 49ers, went on the road, lost the game. And Kirk Cousins got him. Kirk Cousins said that continuum.
Brian Flores.
Prime time Kurt.
I was going to say noted primetime elevator. Kirk Cousins.
Kevin O'Connell.
The 49ers. So look, the more things change, the more things stay the same. The team that's finished 1-2 last year, in my personal opinion, should be 1-2 right now in the power rankings. I think the Chiefs have earned the right to be at the top of the league at 1. The Philadelphia Eagles have earned the right to be at the top of the NFC at 2 as of right now. Do you guys have a third team in mind? To me, this is kind of a toss-up between the Ravens and Jaguars. The Ravens had an incredibly dominant win over the Lions. I would give them a slight edge. Do you guys disagree on that front?
No, not at
2,
all.
3 could easily be like Philly, Baltimore. I think that's the first 3 right there has to be that combination of us, Philly, and Baltimore. To go out there and everybody's like a team that's been, not saying gassing them, but they've been earning the right. Like Detroit's been playing really good football coming into week 7. And they were obviously a team that only had 1 loss themselves. But to go into Baltimore and Baltimore to put belt to a word, as we mostly use on Twitter. Yeah. So they dominated that game from beginning to end. So Lamar, the defense overall, and it wasn't like a game where they started off hot and they came back. They dominated the entire game in all 3 phases. So there, obviously, you could obviously have a case that Baltimore could be the number 2 league team on this power ranking right now. But I think Baltimore deserves to be no lower than 3 for me, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, what they were able to do to
I was
Detroit
not expecting that, not gonna lie.
Super impressive. So I was like, yeah, obviously Baltimore definitely deserved to be in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean it was a thorough butt whipping. They took it to him to start out and stayed right with it throughout. Okay, so yeah, we'll go Chiefs, Eagles, Ravens, 1, 2, 3. So as far as 4, 5, 6 is concerned, I mean, look, you got the Jaguars, you got the Lions, 49ers, Cowboys, Browns, Dolphins. I mean, who do you feel should start to round up this top? Who should get the 4 and 5 spot kind of amongst those teams? You could throw the Bills in there as possibly a discussion. Who do you guys think should fill up 4 and 5?
4, give me Jacksonville. 5.
I was
Who you got at 4, DG?
I had the Niners. Still,
Okay.
I mean, I get the back-to-back losses suck. But in my opinion, I still think like when it comes down to these playoffs, that's a team that's still going to be a dangerous team to have to go through.
No, for sure, absolutely.
Especially if everything is clicking just right for them. But if Jacksonville is at 4-2, I mean they've been playing well as too.
They on a little 5-game win streak, though.
Yeah, really turn their season around. Their defense I still think leads the league in takeaways. So yeah, they're playing good ball at this point right now too.
Yeah, they're playing great on both sides of the ball. I think they do deserve to be 4. It's kind of that last, fully complete team, in my opinion, in the league. But I also think the 49ers probably deserve to round up the top 5. Obviously, not a good loss going on the road to Minnesota. San Francisco, I still confident in what they bring to the table ultimately, that they're one of the 2 best teams in the NFC. I think they deserve to be in that 5th spot, in my personal opinion. So I think we're going to roll with them at that 5th spot. And now, you get into the back, obviously 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, like we talked about, Lions, Cowboys, Browns, Dolphins, Bills. I mean, Steelers, Seahawks. Do you guys have anybody that stands out to you as far as that group is concerned?
I ain't gonna lie, bro. The Browns, they're 4-2, and Deshaun Watson ain't even been playing. So it's like, I know it's the Colts and they didn't beat nobody, but they're finding ways to win games with a quarterback that was on a couch 2 weeks ago. So,
is Deshaun Watson not playing a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, for them to overcome that, that's a great thing for them. Because if you would have told me Deshaun Watson wasn't playing, I would never think they'd be 4-2, in my opinion. Because I didn't think that I knew the defense would be good. I didn't think they were like how should I say this, a mature enough football team to find ways to win games.
Scored pace right now.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like PJ Walker playing with house money, like he can do no wrong. Like you're going out there, you're undefeated as a starter. He didn't really start last week, but he essentially came in when Deshaun left the field. So essentially, the past 2 games, PJ Walker's been a starter and they're winning the game. So I mean, I can't really be too mad at them because their defense is top notch. Obviously, it's a top 3 unit in the league. They have the best secondary in football. To me, it's not even close. Myles Garrett is the defensive player of the year so far, in my opinion. Obviously, it's a favorable schedule. They've had some decent matchups, but to beat the Niners at home, obviously with one of the best teams in football, like we just said this year, and to beat them under those circumstances, and to follow it up with another win when you expect your quarterback to be back, and to have a guy come off the bench cold and he has to come in again and find a way to win the game. And they put up 35-plus points in that game. One like they just won 14-10 or nothing. They went out there and scored 30-plus. I don't think PJ Walker even threw a touchdown, and they still found a way to win the game. So I got to give the Browns their respect. They're winning ugly, but 4-2 is 4-2. So that's my pick for 6. I got to give it to Cleveland.
Okay, that's fair enough. I think I respect that opinion on Cleveland. Obviously, historic defense to this point. I already said the only thing that can hold the Cleveland back is a quarterback. We'll end up seeing how that saga kind of works itself out. We got a little bit of a twist with him, leaking his injury to Rappaport this week, which is something special to see. DG, I'm gonna let you go ahead and pick the 7th spot team. Amongst the Cowboys, Lions, Dolphins, Bills. Who do you think deserves that 7th spot?
I give it to the Lions still. I still think they've been able to prove some things this year, especially with the kind of wins that they've gotten, especially on the road. The Bills just that loss to the Patriots just
they really let Mac Jones walk
down.
That was nasty.
That
was nasty.
That was nasty. You can't. Yeah, I can't give you 7 if you're gonna let Mac Jones just walk down the field.
That's disgusting, bro. We were actually at Arrowhead watching the game in the parking lot, and I was talking to Chuck. I was like, bro, Mac Jones about to throw a pick. because there's no way they about to let Mac Jones walk him down for a W. And Lord behold, they walked him. I was like, Lord Jesus, that's disgusting. And I know the Bills dealing with injuries, but if you would have thought in life that Mac Jones would have turned the ball over, you thought that was the moment for them to win the game. And for him to go down there, I think he marched like 75 yards or 80-plus yards on that drive for him to win the game. And he was dicing it up down the field, had a couple calls here and there go their way to help him out. But that Bills defense just looks cooked, bro. Like, so many injuries. Tre'Davious White's out for the year. Matt Milano's out for the year. Daquan Jones, one of their rotational D linemen, is out for the year. Obviously, they've been dealing with injuries in the safety room with, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, and DeMar Hamlin and all those guys. But that's a defense. They're reeling right now. They're losing a lot of talent, and it's not easier as the schedule goes on and you get deeper into the season. And they're losing impact players, not just rotational guys. So I don't see how it gets better for Buffalo on defense. And that's a unit we're used to being top 5, and they're really bad right now. So stopping the run and through the air. So, yeah, I don't see where we can put Buffalo in this top 10 right now. It's not looking too good for them, honestly.
Yep, I can't blame you one bit there. I mean, look, the other situation is these teams are very flawed. And look, that happens throughout the season, especially as injuries start to pile up. So I can't blame you. Did you have a set team that you wanted to give that 7th spot?
Yeah, Lions.
Lions.
Detroit.
Okay.
No, cool.
I don't blame you for that. They look, obviously they got boat race, but not having David Montgomery, who is the best running back in Detroit right now. That gives them that element of being able to get to that run, and you can tell that really victimized them versus Baltimore to this point. So yeah, I'm cool with that.
1-7 is a big drop from last week.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, it gets a little iffy there. Obviously we've named Lions to this point. I mean, I've named the Browns. Yeah, I'm looking at the Cowboys. I'm looking at the Dolphins. I'm looking at the Bills. I'm looking at the Steelers, Seahawks, Texans. I mean, look at the Falcons, I suppose. I mean, to me, I think I'm going to have to put in this 8th spot. God, this is awful. The difficult
Halloween
thing.
Time.
Here's the problem. I can explain something away here. Miami, I can explain. You're going on the road against an excellent team, and you lost. That is what happens. Sometimes it happens in National Football League. It's a bit of a trend, obviously getting blown up by the Bills, but still, we'll move past that. I don't think your defense will be good. Not in that Vic Fangio style. He didn't adapt it enough. I'm not overly optimistic. But ultimately, you will be getting back your 2 starting quarterbacks in Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey. I can explain a way that possibly that changes the face of your team from just being an explosive offense and a bad defense to being a complete team, or a more complete team, I should say, than you have been throughout the first part of the season. Matt Milano's not coming back. Trey Wright is not coming back. Those guys missing from that Bills defense fundamentally changes the face of that defense and limits what they can bring to the table. I can't explain that away. That's just a reality of the situation for the Bills. They're going to be giving up more points than they ever have really in this era because they're missing those 2 key cogs. Cowboys, your head coach is Mike McCarthy. I'm not going to act like you're a serious team with Mike McCarthy at the helm. Sorry. Can't. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this 8th spot to Miami. Do you guys have anybody that you want to give the 9th spot specifically before we get to the Gold Star of the Week and the 10th spot? Obviously teams that we haven't mentioned: Bills, Cowboys, Steelers, Seahawks, Texans, Bengals, Jets, Falcons. Anybody you guys want to put in that 9th spot?
I'll nominate Pittsburgh for the Gold Star.
Okay. Yeah, we get.
Seahawks,
I don't know how they keep doing it, man. I don't know.
I mean, they beat Baltimore. I mean, they were like, I think are they tied or are they behind Baltimore in the division for the AFC North League right now?
They're behind Baltimore.
Behind them now. They were leading. They're behind. Yep. So obviously they beat Baltimore. They're 4-2 currently. Went on the road, beat a good Rams team, and obviously they're finding ways to win games. TJ Watt's playing like a monster. Another guy that's in the DPOY conversation, and Kenny Pickett had a decent game. I know everybody had been on his head with him and Matt Canada. And they found a way to get a connection with George Pickens. That little running back tandem, Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, is starting to get somewhat in rhythm down the field, and their defenses finding ways to get stops and get off the field. So the Steelers are low-key playing good ball, and that's a tough division in the North to play in. So if you don't play defense in that division, it's going to be kind of hard for you to win games. And they're finding ways to get better on offense, and that's always the notion of that team. We know Mike Tomlin, the defense, is going to carry them to wins, but if the offense can give them any kind of consistency, they can be a real dangerous team. But they went on to LA on the road and showed me something. I know LA's not the measuring stick for defenses, but they went in there and did something that I thought they were probably incapable of doing, but go out there and being mature enough to win a football game you're supposed to win. So I nominate Pittsburgh for the gold star spot this week for sure.
I'm not mad at it. I think that they are deserving of it. Come hell or high water, they're over 500 again, and you got to give them credit for being able to find a way to do
Common, baby.
that. Absolutely. DG, do you have a preference here? Cowboys, Bills, or not Steelers. Cowboys, Bills, Seahawks, Texans, Falcons, Bengals, Jets. I know who I personally will pick, but I want to see who you go with, DG.
I'm gonna say right now, I think it might be between Cincinnati and Seattle.
But who won that
Cincinnati.
matchup?
Cincinnati. So I think I'll probably give the edge to Cincinnati. You know, they've been able to fight their way back from did they start the season off 0-2 again? 0 yeah.
0-2.
They're able to kind of fight their way back, kind of find, I guess, a little bit of their identity.
Coming up a bye week.
Yeah, they've completely turned the corner, but you know they're going to get a good matchup here against the 49ers. Don't know. I think Brock Purdy's
Darnold at 49ers too.
Yeah, Sam Darnold at 49ers.
All
in all, though, still a you can only play who's in front of you. So, Bengals have I think are turning the corner. They're going to be a sneaky team in that wild card spot that you're going to have to probably see, but it is what it is. I think Cincinnati definitely deserves to probably go slide in at 9 and get back in that top 10 with the Steelers right behind them at the 10th spot.
Okay. I'm not mad at that at all. I mean, look, the reality of the situation is that it was a struggle early on. Obviously, Burrow going through the injury, T. Higgins being in and out of the lineup. But you see their run in form. Defense is getting a little bit better. Their front seven is still playing at a high level, and they're starting to get on the same page offensively, and we'll end up seeing how that ends up working out. Like you said, they got a tough matchup versus the 49ers outside of, obviously, Brock Purdy's injury situation. Concussion protocol, don't expect him to play. It's going to be an interesting wrinkle to that matchup. So we have our 10, obviously, Chiefs, Eagles, Ravens, Jags, 49ers, Browns, Lions, Dolphins, Cincinnati, and the Steelers getting the gold star spot. So, look, as far as the Week 8 slate, unfortunately, it's not as good as we thought we could have gotten last week. It's just not a great spread, to say the least. There are 2 games that I do want to highlight. Obviously, one of the games would have been Cincinnati and San Francisco. We talked about it a little bit, but Brock Purdy's injury is kind of a little bit of a downer as far as that's concerned. Still going to be interesting to see how the Cincinnati the Cincinnati defense reacts to the 49ers offense and what they can bring to the table, certainly. So I'm just going to ask you guys about these games real quick. CJ, how do you feel about the Browns and Seahawks game that we're going to end up getting on Sunday between 2 4-2 teams in Seattle?
4-2 teams in Seattle. From what we've heard from the injury note, Deshaun Watson will not be playing, so it's going to be another PJ Walker week. Frank Clark is active now. Hopefully, we'll see if he's in there. In Seattle, Geno Smith been decent this year. Obviously, not playing at the level he was last year. I know me and D-Mac talked about it all offseason. That's going to be the measuring stick for that team. Can Geno Smith do it again and play at a high level? Because once teams have film on you, and it's kind of funny to say film on a guy who's been in the league for 10 years now, but that's his first legit year having a full season to start and having full offseason with the whole film to watch what he did last year. Now teams can kind of game plan for you. The offense has been average this year, nothing special, not to the level it was last year. Kenneth Walker's playing at a high level. They're running the football really well. That secondary is really, really good with guys like Woolen and Witherspoon. Coming into that matchup, Cleveland should give Geno Smith fits, and they've been doing it to everybody this year. That's just how good that defense is. Like we said earlier, Myles Garrett is just playing on a different level right now. I really don't think he can be blocked by anybody, especially not by some younger tackles like Charles Cross like they have up in Seattle. So I expect it to be a low-scoring game. I expect Cleveland to keep the game close. Who's going to win the game? If Deshaun Watson was playing, I would probably give the edge to Cleveland, but eventually Cleveland's luck has to run out, right? They can't keep doing this forever. Eventually somebody has to catch them slipping. So on the road in Seattle, I'm gonna give Seattle the edge. They're at home. They're the home team. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be close. I think it'll be something like probably like 20-17 or like 18-16. It'll be something nasty, something like the over under. I would definitely take the under, but I'm gonna give Seattle the edge, but definitely be a low scoring game for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. DG, do you have any thoughts on the Jaguars and Steelers? Um, Both teams are the 500. Jaguars 5-2, Steelers 4-2. Obviously, a little bit of struggle, from a wide receiver dropping perspective from Trevor Lawrence in the offense for the Jaguars to this point, but their defense playing at a higher level. Steelers, come hell or high water, are over 500. What are your thoughts as the Jaguars prepare to go into Pittsburgh, a rematch of the 2017 divisional round?
Right.
Which was actually a pretty entertaining game. So yeah, what do you thought about the Jaguars and Steelers, man?
I think this would be a good test, especially for the Jaguars. Go. You said they're on the road, right?
Yep, in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Back where
Another good, yeah, another good test for them to go out, prove why they're one of the top teams in this league, especially against a good Steelers team coming off a win from against the Rams. It's kind of a win that I didn't really expect them to get. But Mike Tomlin just does Mike Tomlin things. He's always got his team ready. It's going to be a tough environment for them to go into, but I fully expect the Jags to be able to handle that. I kind of wish this game was Sunday night and it wasn't Chargers versus Bears. I hope
how Tomlin
the
gets
NFL. Yeah, I hope the NFL figures this thing out and doesn't make us suffer through that. That's my only thoughts on week 8.
Can we get a time shift? Like, when can we start doing the flexes? Is it after the
I
bye?
think you can flex now. I think
It
like
starts now.
I
Okay,
think you're
I knew
I
I knew
think
it
you
was
can
coming up.
flex after like week 6, but
Yeah,
But
man, they should have seen both of these games: Raiders, Lions, and Bears, Chargers. Awful games. They should have seen that
yeah,
coming. But that's a shame. So I'll say, as far as week 8 is concerned, I talked about, was kind of excited to see San Francisco take on Cincinnati. It'll be interesting, but I will say I will highlight this. We are getting battle of number 1 and number 2 overall picks here. Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud. That's something that I'll be interested in just to see how far Bryce Young's development has gotten him to this point. And obviously CJ Stroud, who's one of the most entertaining quarterbacks right now and simply playing at a high level. His poise, his ability to deliver the ball on time, on target, combined with his arm strength, he's been able to get the ball down the field as well to Nico. Tank, unfortunately, has been in and out of the lineup, and Robert Woods playing very well for them boys. So, look, I'm going to be very keyed in on as far as that, one-on-one matchup. And then also Patriots Dolphins, obviously a mismatch record-wise, but the Patriots pulled off a great win versus the Bills. You never know, going down to Miami, which is a little bit of their Achilles heel. Can Miami put together a complete game and bounce back from the Eagles' loss will be fascinating. So yeah, as far as week 7 is concerned, we did start doing our pick'ems. Both of these guys up here got one more game right than I did, so I'm a game back. I got to make that up next week. We'll put our picks in. Certainly, we'll be on the lookout for updating you guys on that next week, man. But with all that, man, I think we're good to go, get on out of here. Shout out to CJ and DG for joining me. The Tell the Truth Trio is back, and we'll be back next week with another episode. Please make sure to tune in to Kingdom Cast right back here tomorrow night, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I'll be coming out with a new Stay Scheming episode here on Friday or Saturday, man. Make sure you guys tune in. Appreciate y'all. Peace out. Go Chiefs.
peace.
Chiefs.